right there, as you can see. There's a squash vine borer going on in there, and it also affected one of the squash. Here goes another one. Sadly, with all the precautions I have been taking, squash vine borer seems to be winning, but I refuse to use any kind of chemical or insecticide to fight off these bugs that are infecting and devastating my spaghetti squash or any type of squash that I plant. So, as you can see what I have done earlier, that's a treatment that I did for my squash vine borer using a knife to surgically remove any squash vine borer, which I did not really, I'm not sure that I got it out, but it seems to hold for quite a while. Even this here has healed, and the way I did that was I used this needle to stick right in there and just kinda, here we go, just move that around and hope that I could puncture or hit the squash vine borer larva. But as you can see today, I might have to do the same thing. Take a look at this. That's what I will do. Just keep sticking this in as far as I can. And I noticed that if I use needle to try and reach that squash vine borer, I don't have to wrap it with anything to encourage it to heal, because this prove here that it will heal on its own. So I'm gonna do this here, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm doing things with one hand, but it's not easy. Hanging on to the camera and at the same time. Take a look at that. That little vine there. As you can see, that is affected by a squash vine borer, which would be inside. What I do with that type of vine, that's not the main vine, see? That's like the lateral growth, which is not really needed. So I will just cut that off completely. Oops, I'm not doing it right. Here we go. And dispose of that. And that I will have to poke that. I will be puncturing that and poking that with the needle some more, just to make sure I touch the existing vine borer in there. And here's another one here. I'll be doing the same thing. I'm just trying to buy enough time to give this spaghetti squash, which are already here, a chance to ripen. And it is starting to, as you can see, the color is starting to turn into a much more golden color rather than that creamy coloration all around. It is starting to turn golden yellow or yellowish right here. So this is what I'm going through with my spaghetti squash right now. Squash vine borer, as always, has been my problem, and it's again this year is relentless. So I opened that this there you go. You could see the larva right there, very tiny. The only way I could tell that I managed to reach the larva is by that tiny little dark speck there. That's the head of it, and as you can see, it's alive and it's still moving right there. Let me put it down. Tell you the truth, I can't stand the sight of any bugs, but I have no choice. If I want to salvage any of my organic vegetable, which I work so hard for, I'll have to brave it and just face my fear. And there it is. As you can see, it's already done its damage, no matter how tiny it is. It's doing the damage on my spaghetti squash. But it's even going to be worse if I ignored it longer, where it grows a lot bigger, and obviously it will have a more voracious appetite than it is now, because it's much smaller. But they do grow a lot bigger and fatter than that. And as you can see, it's very tiny. That's my pinky, and that's how tiny you could tell. You barely could see it, but that's right there is the squash vine borer larva. Okay, I'm going to kill it right now. Okay, so this one here, as you can see, has been affected by squash vine borer, and what I did is I stuck this needle in there and trying to move it around, and I hope that I will grab a hold of the squash vine borer larva. So far, it seems to be healing, and I hope that it worked. Now, here is a surprise. I remember saying in my earlier video that I will be losing these two squash here, because when these two squash came out, there were no male flower to pollinate this female flower. And I was saying that over there, back there, those were spaghetti squash, zucchini squash, and I was wondering if it would cross-pollinate, being that they're from the same squash family, different species, but squash nevertheless. And I was wondering if it would cross-pollinate. So take a look at that. That's a spaghetti squash, and I don't know if it's safe to say that spaghetti squash and zucchini do cross-pollinate, because here is the zucchini squash. I'm sorry. Here is the spaghetti squash, and the color that is supposed to be cream, and that should turn into buff soon. And yet these two here, which came out a lot sooner than the male flower could pollinate it, look what happened. They look so much more like the skin of a zucchini. I already harvested the zucchini and I took it up in a house, so but that's pretty much the color and the look of a zucchini. So let me see if I could find a zucchini here that would resemble that. Actually, right there is a zucchini. Now my spaghetti squash looks so much more like that. So this is zucchini. These are spaghetti squash. And these are zucchinis. But anyway, here it is. Spaghetti squash cross-pollinated with zucchini. I wonder how it's going to taste. So this is what's happening with my spaghetti squash right now in my garden. And so many things are coming along just fine. Right now, let me concentrate on my spaghetti squash. They're looking nice. And my battle is trying to keep the spaghetti squash vine borer from killing them before they fully matured and ripened. So this is it for now. This is Green Wise Joe, and thank you for watching.